celebrating 20 years of possibility.
Hi, I'm Heath Shuler. This is my son, Navy, and we believe anything is possible.
Last episode, we were talking about you in Congress, and I wanted to know what it was like living in that fishbowl. Mm-hmm. Do you feel any unique pressure carrying the Shuler name, to carry the Shuler legacy, and did the political thing impact or affect you?
I mean, for sure. I mean, everyone I got, the first term, not so much because I was very young. The second and third terms, for sure. Definitely have people who are like, oh, I don't like the way your dad votes, or you have the haters, but you also have the people who really look up to him. And I guess just the pressure of you're being watched 24/7, whatever you do is going to affect your family and the name. But it was just a very cool experience to live that, be able to walk the halls of the Capitol and meet very influential people, which is very special to me.
You got a stomach for any of that yourself?
Not so much. Not so much, but
Could you see yourself?
No, there's no way I could put up for what he put up with, for sure. But I just don't have the patience for it, I don't think.
Yeah.
But never say never. He also said he would never do that, so we'll see.
I was interested in that because a guy like you, you're a family guy. You love family. Yeah. I mean, that's why you're back in Knoxville. It's family. That's right. That's what you grew up around. On this episode, I wanted to talk about family, faith, and giving.
Yes.
Let me go back to your parents, Bryson City, and what you saw. We did a radio interview, and when we finished that interview, I thought about it all day long. You know, the thing in my interview with you, and we talked for 2 hours.
We did.
Your granddad worked for the Postal Service. He was a mail carrier.
Yep.
And you told me that your dad kept a cooler in the back of his mail truck, and he would check on senior citizens or people who were shut in and would see if they need groceries or if they needed anything. He would go to the grocery store, get their groceries, put them in the cooler, and maybe it was illegal to do that, but he didn't care about that as much as he cared about the people. Yeah. And he was not only delivering the food, the mail, but he was delivering their food to them. And you watched him do that. That blew me away. I mean, that kind of social initiative, that kind of, unless you told that story, that's not a story anybody would know.
Right.
He was doing this undercover. He wouldn't be telling everybody he was doing, because he probably wasn't supposed to be technically doing that. What does that do to you when you see your father or you see your parents giving back in that way?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's you lead by example. And you can talk a really good game, and you can talk about giving and being involved, but you really have to do that by a simple gift of love. And I watched my father do that. I watched my mom do that with the kids, and I'll never forget, I told my mom I started my own business, and I told her, look how much money I made this week. And I said, well, how much money did you make this week? She goes, I didn't make any money this week. I said, yeah, but you worked all those hours. And she goes, yeah, but I'm not working for the money. I'm working because I want to make sure that the umpires show up and that there's food in the concession stand and they have the uniforms to be able to wear for baseball and football. And it kind of, as a young kid, you see those examples, but oftentimes it's not until later in life you realize the impact that it had. And I watched both my parents do that, and so you feel obligated in the sense that you have to carry that tradition on. But once you make that first, what I say, selfless gift or a show of love, it's greater than any checkbook, a checking account you could ever ask for. that you really do get to make a difference in people's lives, and you see how appreciative people are. And that was the way that I watched my family. And I don't only watch my family, watch my community do the same thing.
Isn't that the essence of American greatness? Isn't that it?
That is it.
Like, if you have a community full of people that have that ethic,
Yes.
that's their approach to life, that's the way they think about things.
And that's when I went into politics. I want to take that same approach. You know, I didn't get into politics just because I can say that I was a member of Congress. You know, I mean, heck, I played football. You know, I mean, it was kind of one of those things. I mean, some people look at football at a higher level than they do, in Congress. But I really want to make a difference. And at the very end of the day, I can look back and, wow, we made such a great impact on people's lives in such a great way.
Possibility powered by Pilot Flying J, Covenant Health, Home Federal, and the Knoxville News Sentinel.
Our show is called Anything is Possible. We talk to a lot of incredibly successful people. The further I go into this journey, the more I start to recalibrate and redefine my definition of success, right? Yeah. To leave a legacy, to do something that helps somebody else, that's the real success of life. So you came by my studio and we did the radio interview, and the reason that we're here today is because of this, another story, right? I was so excited about Navy being here at the University of Tennessee. I was so excited about the storyline of you getting to see your son wear your jersey in this same stadium in front of 100,000+ people, national television, all that kind of stuff. And that stuff happened in the first game. That's what's incredible to me. He's on the field in the first game back. Right. That's just tremendous all by itself. But we're at the studio and we were talking about NIL. Navy Federal Credit Union, I'm just saying. Might be a big bag over there. But we're sitting there and we'd finished the interview and we're just vibing and just enjoying conversation. And you said to me, my son came to me and he wanted to do something different. Now, we had just had this conversation about your dad and your mom and the way they gave back and your grandparents. And I would imagine you have the same kind of love for your grandparents and you could feel their legacy. You come to your dad and say, we got to do something different and give back. And how old are you?
21.
I was blown away, Navy. I literally was in the bling bling generation, in the who's getting the biggest bag generation. I was blown away by what he told me you came to him and said. Tell me what that was.
It was just to give back to my community and take my NIL, my name, image, and likeness, and give it back to the good of the community of Knoxville. And so I wanted to do t-shirts and jerseys of the same number, same last name, and give back to the Boys and Girls Club of Tennessee Valley. So, so they're available at Alumni Hall.
Where did that come from?
I just grew up when he was in Congress. They do turkeys every Thanksgiving. They would give out frozen turkeys and all the sides, and he'd give it out to the people in the Asheville community. And I just saw him do that at such a young age. I feel like I need to do the same thing.
Why?
I mean, this is my dream to play at Tennessee, so it's not about the money. It's just the opportunity to play here and where the T is more, important than the money. So.
I want to get to the particulars of the shirts. Heath, how does that make you feel? To heck with them being a football player, right? To see your son becoming that kind of a man.
That's right. Well,
talk to me about what that...
Well, Nicole and I talked about that. You kind of, probably both of us in tears in the fact that you just like, wow, we've done well. That sorry. But he's making a difference.
Absolutely.
And that's more important than a touchdown.
That's strong, man. You realize it, right?
Mm-hmm.
What does that make you feel right now?
I mean, I see him do it, you know. I feel like I have to do that, you know. I grew up seeing it. It's kind of the top priority thing to do, especially in my shoes.
But do you have any concept of the fact that you grew up seeing him serve,
Mm-hmm.
other people are watching you serve? You may not even realize the legacy. It may not hit you, but I think anything is possible. The word possible means able to be.
Yeah.
When people see it, I think it was Wes Stour's daughter said, if you can see it, you can be it. She said, I saw in my father certain things and I knew I could be that. You see something in him, but then people are gonna see something in you. Mm-hmm. Why'd you pick the Boys and Girls Club and walk me through what you're doing?
So, I mean, it all goes back to when my dad was here. That was his first way of community service was the Boys and Girls Club. And so I thought that was I'm already playing at Tennessee, already wearing his number. It's a good opportunity to follow in his footsteps and be a part of the Boys and Girls Club. And so what we're doing at Alumni Hall, doing t-shirts and jerseys for sale, and all the proceeds go to Boys and Girls Club. So very special opportunity for people to buy.
And my understanding is, because I was at Alumni Hall very recently, and I was talking to the team at Alumni Hall, and they said, people are buying those shirts. They're buying them.
Yeah.
It's working.
Well, I mean, that's the whole part of it, and sorry for getting emotional on that, but you know, when you feel so proud about with your son.
Let's not move past that.
Yeah.
Why are you sorry about that?
Well, I mean, you know, it's probably I don't want to embarrass him, but you know, I mean, you feel so proud about your kids and what they've accomplished and the things that you do and the work that you go through it, being a parent, and then then it's like they come with you to the ideas. You know, that's supposed to be the parent coming with the ideas.
Right.
But when they get older and they start seeing things, and you start realizing pretty quickly that, you know, he's no longer a kid anymore. He's an adult.
He's a grown man.
He's a grown man, and he's making decisions a man would make or a grown woman can make. And my daughter turns 18 this week or next week, and it's, you know, she's a grown woman. I mean, I see the things that she's able to do, and I watch her work ethic, and I see those things. But, you know, as parents, Nicole and I feel that, you know, at the very end of the day, this is what it's all about. How can you change people's lives? And I know I always talk about that, and it's whether you're giving your testimony at a church or the things that you do and volunteering your time. At the very end of the day, the people that you want to be most impressionable to is your own family first. And so it starts at home. And so that in itself makes, you know, that's greater than any touchdown pass, because I know that what he's doing lasts forever.
I think being a quarterback is about making decisions. It really is. You've got to make decisions. Unlike any other position on the field, there is a reality in front of you. You have a range of choices you can make, but you have to choose. Like, you have to go, we're doing this.
That's right.
Right? You have to choose. I think when a human being develops that capacity to evaluate and choose, get off square one, we're going to do something, that's a huge thing. There are a lot of parents that keep their kids back from finding that ability in themselves. I love my dad for the fact that, you know, many places in my life, he just said, you got to figure it out, dude. Yeah. And he trusted me to do that. You talked about maybe your senior year, last game, and your dad said, you call all the plays, right? You call all the plays. He's calling plays.
Yeah. It's his turn.
Let's talk about God. Where's God in all of this?
Where's
your faith?
You know, it's the center of it all. I mean, without, I think that goes back to community and parents. My grandmother, my aunts, uncles, and I saw that they led the way, they showed the path, and as parents we try to do the same thing, and you just always recognize that God's number one in your life, and you put that him above everyone else, and when you do that, it's a constant relationship, it's a constant conversation with him, and as Proverbs 3 says, in all thy ways acknowledge him and he shall direct thy path. And so if you're constantly communicating, that path will be directed. Maybe not the way you want it to go sometimes.
He will direct.
He will direct it.
Talk about your faith. How's your faith play a role in all of this?
It's the most important thing in my life. Just having the constant relationship, just going back, and everything I do there's a reason why, and I have to always do it like he's watching, and so he's just very important to me. Before every game, every time I go to bed, just gotta have that constant relationship with him.
When did you find your faith? When did it
I guess I was just
come home
growing up in a church. Ever since I was little, I was going to church, and I really realized it just for me, it's being out in nature, just seeing all his works, all he does in this area, especially part of the U.S.
Between Asheville and Knoxville, if you get in the mountains,
especially, yes, sir.
It's just you can't be in this space and hold on to the notion that there's no God, right?
Exactly.
It's just really
sure.
tough to do. But you said, is that part of your pre-game experience? Is to check in with?
For sure.
Really?
Even have a good game or bad game, I'm just thankful for the opportunity,
That's pretty cool. The gratitude piece of that, being so grateful for the opportunity. Are you an overt guy when it comes to your faith journey, or you kind of keep it tucked? You talk to God a lot?
The older I've gotten, the more I've gotten more comfortable with it.
What about you?
I think your faith changes as
you're not handling snakes. Or jumping, walking pews like Chris Mary, nothing like that.
Here was kind of the funny thing. So when I was in sports, right, when I kind of the football side of it,
right,
every single church around would call and ask me to come give their testimony. The moment that I said I was going into politics, it was almost like, oh, no faith should. It was it just cut off completely. I'm like, wow, it's. One of my staff, that Chad Eaton, was actually at the church where we were going to church at Biltmore Church in Asheville. And I hired him away from the church. I said, look, here's a great opportunity to be able to witness to more people. Church is wonderful and it's great, but you're going to get a real opportunity in this. And it was kind of life-changing for him. And some of the things that he was able to, people come in our office and they had just horrible stories and challenges in their life. And he got to pray with them, and it was this is the most remarkable opportunity that God had given him. And, working with him was just really cool to see, not only me, how I changed during that time in a positive way, co-chair of the National Prayer Breakfast and things like that, but just to see how, others change and how you can help influence them and they can change lives too.
It was interesting to me with your political journey, how you really tried to work across the aisle, to be bipartisan, to try to solve problems, to try to make life better. That's a way to get some friction in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, and it's kind of one of those things. At the end of the day, I look at when you swear that oath to uphold the Constitution, and within the Constitution, the things that it actually continues to remind us of, that it's not about the political parties. There's nowhere in there it says anything about the political parties.
Nowhere.
And so my first objective was to do what was right for the country. And if it meant that I didn't get reelected, at least I will have known I did everything possible to do the right thing. And I've said this so many times, if I just wish, now I wish I could go back, not literally go back, but if they would just listen to me and say, if you will do as members of Congress, House and Senate, if you do what's right for the American people and the next generation, you will not get reelected.
Right.
But 20 years from now or 10 years from now, they'll say that's the greatest Congress to have ever served because they did what was right. As opposed to, I always thought it was odd, if you wanted to vote with your party, just hand it over to the majority leader or the minority leader and just hand them your voting card and say, just let me know how I voted at the end of the day. Well, I took a different approach to it. I mean, I ran against my own party leader, and it wasn't adversarial. It was like there was a new message to be taught. And so when I ended up leaving Congress, I voted 50% of the time with Republicans and 50% of the time with Democrats. There is absolutely no way that either party gets it 100% right 100% of the time.
Right.
And so I felt that I did it what was right for the American people because I didn't have to have the job.
Right.
Unlike most.
Right.
And some of it's not the financial, some of it is the financial, but most of it's ego.
It's power.
And power. And I didn't have to have that.
Well, I love the journey that we've been on today, and let me just say to you, Navy, man, I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm proud of the man that you are and the man that you're becoming.
Thank you.
Heck of a quarterback too, but I think your life is gonna be so much bigger than football. And he's good looking too, so.
Yeah, he's got that going for him.
He's got it all going for him. Thank you guys for being on Anything Is Possible.
Thank you.